Labs and tutorials, a blessing or a curse? Science majors will likely have the loudest voices here. Having to schedule a full day of lectures with all the labs that accompany them is no easy task. Not to mention that usually, labs come with their own workloads. It's often like taking 8 or even 10 classes rather than 4 or 5. I can say that deep into the midterm season, I have considered switching to another faculty more than once. Sometimes it just doesn't feel like it's worth it. So much stress, so much extra work, and for what? Most of what I need to know is covered in the lecture portion. Do I really need to attend all these extra blocks? I mean, they don't even take attendance. Will they even notice? The answer to these questions is a resounding yes. You will definitely benefit from attending these blocks. Not only will it refine your knowledge and skill, but the practical experience that you will get is invaluable. Stay tuned for 7 smart strategies to effortless labs and tutorials. If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all our fresh content. If you like learning with us and growing your mind, please give us a thumbs up. This small show of support helps us out so much and also allows others to find our content easier when they need it. So go ahead and pay it forward. The reason why we want to attend every single lab and tutorial is the same reason we want to attend every lecture. There are so many nuances to the way a professor presents a lecture in class. There's his inflection that might tell you something about the context. There will be repetition of certain points. He might come back and stress a certain theme, word, or phrase as he covers several different concepts. Although many professors will post their lecture slides either before or after class, these are just a few of the details that you won't be able to pick up off of them. Although you may be able to see what will be covered during the class, small details like this are invaluable when you are sifting through the massive pile of notes that you have accumulated over the course of the semester to try to decide what is important at exam time. Context is often just as important as the material itself, and you will only be able to decipher context from the professor during class. Show up. What's covered in your labs or tutorials is much more likely to be relevant during test time, whether you have a separate exam for the labs and the lectures, or if you just have one single exam for the entire class. In general, these extra blocks are intended to really reinforce information or techniques that will be essential, not only to pass this class, but also for any classes this might be a prerequisite for. Despite their often free form, they are vital to excelling in this field. Be open to learning. Now, when I say to be open to learning and participate in your labs and tutorials, I don't mean just to show up. Although attending is a crucial first step, not only do you have to show up, but you must be open to learning. Sometimes, when you have a packed schedule, lab time can turn into a social event. Because they are often much less structured than a class, this is much easier to happen. Come in focused and ready to learn, stay on topic, and dive into the work as deeply and as detailed as you are able to. Come prepared. Labs and tutorials will often come with their own set of assignments separate from those discussed during your lecture. It's important to read through and understand all of the steps involved. For science experiments, this might mean that you need to read through and familiarize yourself with the procedure that you will be attempting. When you are reading through, make sure to label and even color code any diagrams that might have been given to you. Elaborate on any definitions, not only if you don't know them, but even if you do. Use this opportunity to test yourself to be certain that you know both the context and content of what you've learned in lectures. Elaborate on steps that might be vague or to the point. This gives you the opportunity to make sure that you know what to do next in your own words, and also proves that you know this procedure. For language tutorials, read through and complete the assignment before class. This allows you the maximum amount of time to focus on pronunciation and fluency. Do this even if you believe the assignment will be easy. Even easy assignments have the potential to contain difficult or sticky questions. Completing the assignment before the lab allows you to really think things through and ask for help from the professor or TA on specific problems or phrases. Coming into the tutorial with your assignment completed will give you a heads up on exactly what will be done in the class. This can reduce any anxiety you might experience during the recording process. Usually, the most important thing for a language class is that you are showing some degree of improvement between your first and final recordings. Use this time wisely to really demonstrate how you have grown over the semester between fluency and the complexity of your sentences. Using your time to prepare will let you tweak the phrasing of your sentences to get the best results. For math-based tutorial classes and labs, complete all questions and readings for your assignment. In math, acquiring confidence with the equations is vital for test time. The only way to develop fluency is by brute repetition. Coming up with the correct answer is not enough for these types of problems. Being able to understand the steps and the work to get the right answer is often worth more marks than the answer itself. If there is something that you repeatedly struggle with, having multiple examples of the same type of issue that you struggle with will be helpful to present to the professor or the TA that is teaching the class. Tutorial time is when this help is most readily available. Also, having other students asking questions about a problem that you have been struggling with may give you the added insight on working out the answer. Make full use of tutorial time. The content of the labs and tutorials is going to be, by and large, practical content or content that is more difficult to understand by description alone. These will all be topics that are best learned by doing, either by repetition or by experience. These are concepts that will be difficult to get through to a lecture hall housing 200 plus students. Use as much of the class to cover the material as you can. For experiments, don't just rush through the procedures. Really revel in the process. Stop throughout and take detailed notes, not only about the process that you're performing, but elaborate on the steps. Use your senses. What do you see or hear? What do things feel like? Describe their texture or elasticity. Are there any strong or pungent smells that you notice, or does the temperature change? Side note, do not sniff chemical reactions or any of the components or products. We keep our noses to ourselves during lab time. If you're doing dissections or looking at a microscope slide, what do you see? Write down a detailed description of what it looks like to you. How do you differentiate it from its surroundings, or what landmarks did you use to find it? Draw detailed diagrams that you can look back at and take lots of pictures that you can print off and label later. How do specimens behave as you observe them or work with them? Can you use any of these behaviors to differentiate them from other specimens? Taking these kind of detailed notes that you can look back on later will really give added insight as you prepare for your lab exam. Walk into the lab with a clear goal in mind. Have a goal of your own that you wish to accomplish above all of the required work for each lab or tutorial block. Whether it's to ask a specific question or to improve on a technique, walk in with a clear goal in mind. Perhaps you have a hard time locating the duodenum or finding a specific parasite on a slide. Go into the tutorial knowing what you want to focus on and then achieve that goal. Listen to other people's questions and ask your own. Asking questions is going to refine your knowledge. Is there something that you might not completely understand? Now is a great time to ask that question, as the answer can not only be given, but also demonstrated. Also, listening to other people's questions can not only give you another perspective on the material, but it's a great way to quiz yourself on what you already know. Do you know how to answer that question? If it were asked on an exam, would you get full marks? A lot of times, questions posed in class or lab are rephrased and added to the exam, especially if a lot of time is spent on explaining them. Do you have questions left unanswered after the last tutorial? Now is a great time to clear those up before you get too far away from that content. Finish assignments. Often, for science-based labs, after the procedure, there are several questions posed about what you just did or saw. Even though these may not be for marks, they should be completed after the lab block. These questions will focus on the intended takeaway from the lab and will usually appear in some form on the exam. Maximizing the benefit and reducing the effort expended on these extra blocks boils down to preparation and planning. Don't just show up to your labs and tutorials. Come prepared. Come prepared with questions. Come prepared with homework complete. Come prepared with goals. These blocks are not just designed to make your life miserable. They were implemented because history dictates that the students that came before you struggled with this material even if you don't. These blocks were implemented for your benefit to help you excel in this class and the future classes that you will be taking within this faculty. Have you ever made the mistake of overburdening yourself with too many labs during a semester? Or what was the most difficult or nonsensical lab that you ever had to take? Leave them below in the comments and let's commiserate together. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single video. If you are so inclined, give us a thumbs up so we know you want more videos like this. Also, check out our website to get exclusive content and study materials. Just click the link in the description. Or, since you're already here, check out our study hacks and our organizational tips playlists to help you stay on top of not only schoolwork, but life as well. Be absolutely prepared, absolutely confident, absolutely stunning, with absolutely studying.